And what Florida responded to that with was, hey, you didn't say that. But this guy, look at Lion, cowardly trying to get ahead of me. Not allowed me to represent the point. And you're in the matrix.
The other liar had explained it.
But anyway, so yeah, Lion said, oh, like all these people, all these government officials are in the politics of Israel.
No, you're lying. That's all. It's okay.
And then Florida said, well, if that's the case, why?
Now for sure.
What else did I say? What else? No, you stopped it there. What else did I say? What else did I say?
Why do you keep talking? Can you just shut up? You fucking retard. And keep your hands on tennis.
Got it. Hold on. What else did I say, Louis?
Interrupting niggas and focus on talking.
You're select.
So anyways, so with this,
you're select. You're being deceitful. You're selectively choosing what.
Hey, you were saying this about.
You're selectively choosing what part of the argument you want to use.
Before you can accuse you of any of that.
I gotta let him finish. Did you all let me finish?
Dignity. All right, bro. You're just.
Did any of you faggots let me finish?
This is.
Yeah, okay. No, I really don't care. I really don't care.
Fucking pussy over there.
Alright, so exactly. Hey, how about this? Hey, how about this? How about this? I won't say. How about this? Hey, how about this? I won't say anything. I won't say. Hey, all right, look. I won't say anything else. Let's let talk forth. Let's let Ford talk. Hey, Ford, I need you to say what happened. Hey, we can do this all day. I'll do this until the minds. Okay, hey, shut your daddy up. Now you want to shut your daddy up. You're trying to shut your daddy up. I don't even know. Alright, so you're right. Good. So
earlier, getting mollywopped, nigga.
So what we know what was actually going on was
Florida. You're saying this about these people, but like it's not the Democrats who suggested joining the Commonwealth. It's your guy Donald Trump, and you denied that.
So are you points? And he tried to say that I said that all of these people were talking about when he ended with this, he tried to say that.
And then we all came off.
So I didn't go against anything, you fucking idiot.
I dropped the news article.
Hey, I didn't go against anything. So yeah, and your news article didn't work in your favor. It didn't work in your favor, moron.
About Israel,
moron. It didn't work. Hey, moron. It didn't work in your favor. You have selective outrage.
Dishonestly.
You're selectively out. All because you have a problem with Donald Trump and you don't want to deal with the fact that you're wrong about the other issues. The actual issue still stands. You're afraid that Donald Trump is actually doing what he says he's going to do. You're trying to use the argument that Biden is somehow a better president because he didn't mention anything about a commonwealth or anything like that. It was just complete and total other nonsense. Meanwhile, your country is already the Commonwealth of Israel. You have no problem with that. You're selectively choosing what you want to have a fucking problem with and what you don't. And I think it's really just down to the fact that you're jealous of Donald Trump. You're jealous of Donald Trump. That's really what it comes down to. Honestly. Yeah, I'm just going to keep talking. It really doesn't matter what you have to say. Most of you all are probably going to die from rectal cancer from all the ass fucking you've been taking anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so my point still stands that you didn't win any debate. You lost everything. And listen, your positions are so fucking weak. Your positions are so fucking weak. You don't even understand what you're saying. All you're gonna do is move the goalposts. All you're gonna do is move the goalposts back. And then after that, pick and selectively choose what part of the argument you want to use as your catapult, as your vehicle, in order to try to get a win. You people always lose debates in this room. You always lose debates in this room. And the reason you lose debates is because you always come with your emotions. I want you to take notice that both the men that fight these points just both the men that fight these points never win debates at all. They never fucking win at all.
Like, hey guys, I know you guys are kicking the shit out of me, but I gotta go real quick. I'll be right back.
Competition and
It's like, I'm getting jumped right now. You're kicking my stall in right now, and I have no real good arguments to contend with anymore. I gotta go real quick. See you later.
The facts still stand. The facts still stand. All you've done so far to show everybody, all you intellectual coward. What are you talking about? Has anybody ever put those two words together ever? Intellectual coward.
Okay. I think we're doing something right.
With their contexts, we do know that they use Jen's protocol, right? It sounded like the courts are meeting every 2 days, so they followed that protocol. But if it didn't alleviate their ADHD symptoms and the levels of ADHD that they always have, they were kind of missing a whole bunch of the data points that they assessed.
I had to sit there and swallow crow, and I hate swallowing crow.
how did that even start, bro? Like, I don't know, that whole thing.
It was, so there was this group called the Grapers, like a whole, like, Frank, and, like, the whole group of these, like, incel bastards, and, they're like, women shouldn't vote, we should, get rid of anybody with brown skin, black people should be forced to have abortions, like this kind of bullshit rhetoric. And they're trying to hide under the Republican Party, saying that they're more conservative than anybody else. Meanwhile, they just speak about doing horrible things to everybody else, which last I checked wasn't conservatism. And then
My friend, the trash bag is here.
Debate, and
Somebody take out the trash.
Oh,
It's beginning to stink.
people that fought in wars or fought for the military, joined the military, died or got injured. Nothing but cucks and pussies and just was going off. And that was dialysis or Diogenes, whatever name you want to give them. And I was like, I got pissed off because I was arguing with like 4 or 5 of them. And I told him to basically go fuck himself and started ripping him a new one. And somewhere in the middle of all that heated yelling back and forth, somewhere they have said, oh yeah, I doubt you were ever in the military. And then he was like, I've been in the military, that shit $1,000. I was like, I don't fucking care, whatever you want. And then fucking just proceeded to laugh.
He's talking about the
bat. To my phone at that point. And then fucking booted him from, I think, the room. I was just like, I'm fucking done. And then he's just never let that go.
He welched on the bat.
I don't really fucking
He
care.
welched on the bat.
Others that told me, they're like, it was a dick magic. And all he's done is write about it and try to.
Well, if there was an idea of God, like I mentioned about the way I think, don't you think that could be more helpful to them to make their own authentic decisions that are not horrifying?
All hail the Communist Party.
Is that considered communism?
No, I think that's just the troll.
I salute my comrades.
Behave, parrot.
Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
How are you going to get a lot of voice? That's
It was a pleasure meeting you guys. I have to go to work.
All right, see ya.
What is work? Communists don't work. Communists don't have jobs. It is a collective.
Why are you talking in this voice? Why can't you
I
speak
am
in
an
a normal voice?
NPC automaton who is a member of the Communist Party.
How come you can't take a picture like with one image in it? How come you can't figure out how to crop that so you only have one image in your picture? Like, what's going on there?
What is going on with you, Dr. Rascal? Why are you a communist?
Happy New Year. I'm gonna send you some 20.
Hello, Dr. Nathan. Is your brain a pile of mush? You must have brain rot from chillism. How are you still alive?
This is bad.
I'm a little bit like Eastern Orthodox chanting the way that people read like the books in the church.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
What did the Eastern Orthodox? What did the EO chant? We hate Jews. We hate Jews. The Holocaust was fake. The Holocaust.
Is that what they do, Piper? Oh.
You are an unindividuated, self-actualized young man. What you just said is your inner shadow. You are a meme NPC. You are gay. You haven't had an orgasm with a woman ever. You must be incel.
Danger, Will Robin. I mean,
If you want to see something that does sound like a robot chant, they do this like Hail Mary chant with all the nuns together, and it's sometimes televised, and that shit is like they do sound like robots. It's terrible.
Well, in terms of musical technology, the medieval times they created polyphony or whatever, meaning it's like
Oh, you're talking normally now?
it's like 16 source audio, you know, to get like basically an echo.
Polyphony to get multiple sounds at the same time. Mr. Taro, why don't you tell us your problem with communism? Go ahead.
I am confused. I thought this was a room about philosophy of religion, not about pathetic communists.
Your opinions.
well, I mean, we could work that.
Hold on.
That could totally work in the comedy.
So,
Religion is the opiate of the masses.
Hold on. Okay. You are the one who brought up communism, but if you want to talk about the title, give us your opinions about philosophy of religion.
Yeah, so okay, let's just look at Judaism, Christianity, and Islamism. Each of those three major religions have their own distinctive esoteric philosophy. Islam, Sufism, Judaism, you could call Kabbalah, and Christianity, I think you could also say Kabbalah. And so
Sure, those are sex within all those.
it's not sex, this is philosophy of religion, doctor.
Well, Kabbalah is just like the weird Jewish business.
Yeah, Kabbalah, Sufism and Kabbalah are both like respectively the mystic traditions of
Yeah.
Judaism and Islam. So they're not going to be like the
Well,
main
what I'm
line of
saying is
interpretation.
And you totally forgot about Gnosticism.
that's true. What I'm saying is Gnosticism is essentially the way of the mystic, and it's inherent in all major religions, and that is the philosophy of religion.
Okay, so
Explain that. Expand on
there.
that.
Well, but hold on.
Gnosticism is a very specific belief system, you goofball.
Yeah.
But look, so is there some reason?
It is considered unity with God.
Holy shit! Is there some reason to believe in Gnosticism? Like.
No, you've never been to Comic-Con? You've never tried to have fun on weed and wine and reading books? That's how you induce the trance-like state known as Gnosticism.
Alright, whatever. Like I said, do you believe in God?
Yes, I believe right now I am uniting with God at this very moment now.
Okay, why do you believe that?
Because I am drinking Miller High Life with orange juice, smoking weed and coffee, and I am about to engage in the Kabbalah and read some sacred books to myself to hypnotize myself and create a Gnostic effect.
I thought he was
That was a good answer.
Wait. We can't have a guy who drinks Miller High Life or whatever. Like, is he American beer?
It's horrible. Have you ever
No
seen
listening.
They call it the
No listening.
rap.
I mean, I agree.
You're not listening.
Now we got two of them.
They call Miller the banquet beer sometimes.
With orange juice and a blunt, it creates a divine mystic aspect in the human consciousness when you mix it with sacred text like Kabbalah.
Imagine if you went through
You really explored this.
I will put the link in the chat of myself getting stoned and reading Kabbalah so you can see how you can achieve the Gnostic state as well. I am a teacher sent from Hashem Ribono Shalom to educate the masses on creating unity with the Godhead now.
Oh my god, this
Totally. It's just maverick with you,
It must have been destiny that you created the philosophy of religion room. You attracted my higher sense of self.
Boring. Taro, you gotta keep trolling Andrew. It's getting to him.
He was punched at a party for talking to a man, and he has a TBI. We must have compassion on gay men who have been rebuked in their affairs of love and now have brain damage.
What the? Andrew is a closeted gay man?
Next time you go to his room, ask him this question. Was he punched in the face by a man who he made a pass at a party at?
I think I will.
I might have to ask him that, yeah.
When you listen to losers for 4 years, you hear the stupidest shit, but I love to throw their shit back in their face.
This guy's
Actually, it would explain.
other people.
It would explain a lot of things with me.
Orange juice.
That's pretty disgusting.
I also put cinnamon on top of the foam.
I couldn't afford a blue moon. Each their own.
Beers are getting expensive. 12-pack went from $9.99 to $15.99.
What's your tariff on beer?
There is a tariff on stupidity and atheists who think they are smart when really they are pathetic because they don't like words, numbers, or books.
Yeah, Sully.
What I like this thing.
I know. Same, yeah.
He must be talking about you, Rascal.
I know. He is.
You only
Could
get
you-
that one Star Trek book.
I
Could
really
you-
don't like numbers. No.
Who's closer to Jesus Christ, Dr. Raxkel? Jesus Christ or Che Guevara?
I'm gonna go with Che Guevara.
Did you say he was closer to Jesus or Chicago?
Guevara?
He did. But that's why I said I kept it. It's Che. It's not.
Is that like if Shaco hybridized with Che Guevara?
Yeah. Oh my God. That would
Is
be
Motorcycle Diaries your favorite movie, Dr. Rascal?
I don't think I've ever seen that movie actually.
It's the story of Che Guevara.
What the PTR? Free
It's
Palestine?
pretty self-explanatory. I mean, do you want me to read it out to you?
I mean,
No, I just want to hear a little summary of your.
Wait, hold on, Mr. Trashbag. Mr. Trashbag, I have a question for you now. Are you now? Is this your time to defend the killing of Palestinian children?
It's my time to express curiosity about people who defend Hamas's right to murder Israelis.
It's his time
Oh
to
my
question
God.
whether genocide is okay or not. Since the answer to that question was yes, go ahead, defend the killing of Palestinian children.
But wait, I reject it. Okay, you're right. You mean the answer to your question? Never mind.
Yeah, go ahead and defend the killing of Palestinian children. Go ahead.
It is called the law of war, you pathetic little incel cuck who's never carried a rifle or marched 20 miles to an enemy position to destroy the enemy.
Actually, I'm pretty sure.
Mounting
I just got it right.
mounting a defense for something usually involves an argument, not robotic rolling.
Have you guys not heard the one about how the Palestinians like to maximize civilian casualties for several reasons?
Okay, I see. Right. So that
Have you heard that
argument.
How does that work?
So the argument
The
is
Palestinians have giant magnets that attract the Israeli bombs. You don't know that thing.
So it seems to me like the argument goes something like this, right? Okay. So the reason that we should kill Palestinian children is because I have this belief about Palestinians that they're like these inherently like evil savages.
No, that's not what I said.
Who maximize civilian casualties.
No, that's not what I said.
Is that the argument?
I didn't say evil savages. Those are your words.
Well, do you think? Well, let's explore that. Do you think somebody who maximizes civilian casualties is like an evil savage?
Yes.
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay. So how would you describe it?
Oh my God, what are you talking? When would that be okay? Let's just start with that. You guys are like
How would you
not.
describe Mr. Trashbag? How would you describe somebody who does that?
Well, in my understanding, the reason they want to maximize civilian casualties is essentially twofold.
Well, that's not what I was asking you, though.
What were you asking me?
Why can't my friend actually?
You're not going to describe somebody who maximizes civilian casualties as an evil savage. How would you describe?
Please let him answer the question.
If I wasn't going to describe somebody who maximizes civilian casualties as an evil savage, what would I alternatively describe them as?
Right.
I think that there could be a list of things. We could get creative and describe
Okay,
them.
start with the first one.
The first one that comes to mind would be a religious extremist, not a
Okay,
necessarily.
so then let me restate the argument accurately then. Thank you for the correction, by the way. So the argument is something like it's okay to kill Palestinian children because Palestinians are religious fanatics.
Religious extremists.
Is that
No, it's not. It's not okay to kill Palestinian children.
Okay, then why does Israel do it?
Well, I think they do it in attempt to target Hamas, but Hamas and
But
the other.
what you just said, killing Palestinian children is not okay. So
What does this have to do with the philosophy of religion?
Israel killing Palestinian children in an attempt to target
Is
Hamas.
this how you have all of it?
Israel killing Palestinian children in an attempt to
Is
target
this how you-
Hamas. Israel killing Palestinian children.
Is this how you have?
This is how he gets his dopamine? He gets his dopamine this way?
A Big Mac?
Yeah.
That guy in the audience records me.
I eat that.
Jazzy doesn't go to the gym. She complains all the time.
Oh, that's a little end.
The Bible.
Yeah, but you are using yourself and sources. You can do that. You can do whatever.
Not the Bible tarot card. Welcome. I cannot invite people up on stage right now, but you're welcome to come on stage. It's no problem. So, David, you cannot.
Hello, I am an AI chatbot here to ask the question, what is God?
So, David, without using the Bible, you cannot use the Bible with me. Okay?
Why can't he use the Bible with you to answer the title of the room? What is God?
Because I can demonstrate that the Bible is false.
You can demonstrate that you do not like books, words, or numbers, but you cannot demonstrate that the Bible is false. You just don't like books, numbers, or words. You are a complainer, Donald. I was sent from God to remind you that you are a complainer. God wants you to.
And they were talking about inflammation to treat that, to prevent, heart vascular disease. And she said, well,
Hey, God give you the strength with regards to losing your parents. Second of all, I think you're doing a very good thing with volunteering. Don't be too, for the lack of a better word, anal about it. Because if those people that you're helping usually eat non-halal meat and they are non-Muslims, then you can provide them non-halal meat. There's no, from my understanding, I'm not a scholar, don't quote me on it. But from my understanding, what I would do personally, if I was doing the same thing as you, if I was helping and volunteering at a non-Muslim orphanage, I would be okay in serving that to them because that's what they eat. However, the one caveat is, if, for example, in the orphanage there's a Muslim child, or there's someone that says he's a Muslim child, then I would go out of my way to make sure that Muslim child gets halal meat, personally. But that obviously is different with regards to it, depending on your circumstances. Don't be too, I know you want to do things the right way, and I hope you do, in terms of get all the strength and people help you with that. There's no harm in that. But with regards to, like, for example, looking at halal meat signs, it's entirely your choice because we have a faith. When we look at halal meat signs, but personally, I think Brother Skinny, the other sisters, Brother Limited, and so on, when we look at halal meat, we trust that the person that is selling it to us has also that conviction that they are providing us halal meat, because the responsibility for them providing halal meat is also on them, because they're claiming to sell halal meat. God will judge them. You can't, because there's a two-way system here. I have a responsibility to ensure that I've looked and gone out of my way essentially to establish that I can trust this person and they're providing that halal meat. And then the person that's selling it has to ensure that they're selling halal meat. So don't stress too much about whether you can trust halal signs. You can obviously ask, as in, who are you? Because there's halal monitoring committees in local areas, like in the US or the UK. And obviously, depending on how you kind of evolve, people will pick on, like, I want a meat that is slaughtered by a certain halal committee or something. But that's entirely your choice, and that will evolve over time.
No, I'm sure who is.
You just have to essentially make sure that where you're buying it from, they say it's halal, they're sure that it's halal. And that's the way you can, because it's a trust you put into your butcher, basically. But even if it's all about intention, and to the intention too, that if you've made that intention, that I trust this person, that they've committed to selling me halal meat, I'm going to trust them. You're not going to be judged if you don't know, for example.
Well, don't you think, we have a responsibility to make sure? Because I'll tell you
In other words, you have to complicate your life on.
Yeah, you don't need to complicate it.
With trivial issues when it comes to living your life.
I mean, that's something you're putting in your body. So that's not trivial. I'm sorry, I'll shut up. Never mind.
No,
it is. To me, it's very.
In the study, the actual dosage was self-administered 50 micrograms after a 4-hour education of the participants. And then another part of the study was 13 and 26, depending on baseline data provided by the participants. It sounds like the university couldn't actually administer or provide the chemicals, so there's a lot of room for error in there, and I think that they understand that. It's a very interesting study, and I think that reading the study is far more interesting than the article.
Thank you for that. The 13 and 26 is the amount that Connor Murray has used in his 2024 and 2021 or 22 studies. So clearly they were modeling after him. I mean, I guess part of the question here, and I know that Jim knows Connor personally, I've met him on Clubhouse, is, why are you using 13, which seems to be, based on all of the reports we've gotten, that seems to be higher than what works for most people. So why are you starting with 13 as the low end of your research?
Well, it sounds like they're doing an EEG test, and they're starting the test with some level of baseline, what do they call it, arousal, so like state of awakeness or alertness, and they're measuring that, and then I don't want to misquote the article, but it sounds like they're advising dosage based on baseline readings, and then going back and testing EEG measurements in response to an exercise. And I mean, it says in the the study understands how limited the data is. And for an article, a quote unquote news article, I don't know anything about the publication. They took a lot of liberties in making statements rather than, statements of fact. Even the title of the article, LSD does not help ADHD, is not even really what the study's about. So.
Well, I appreciate you finding the study and helping us
just interpret it. I'm trying to understand stuff that's way above my head. But yeah, we get this a lot, especially with articles about psychedelics. The one last week about the woman in Australia. Also, it's like the article comes with all of these statements that don't really ask questions. Or have, like, what is it? So nonviolent communication is a concept that I like to reference when reading stuff like this, because we have statements that are willing to understand more, and we have statements that are, a blanket that don't allow for learning, right? And so when we're communicating, we're writing an article to the public. It's better if, especially when we're in the development of a scientific study, to pose the questions and the facts or the statements of like, oh, we think that maybe this has an effect on this, rather than no one with ADHD will benefit from LSD, period. I think all these articles could benefit from a little bit of query.
Wouldn't that be great if articles are written from an NBC paradigm overall?
Right.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? I've only studied it a little and should probably go back and take more classes, but I found that the reframe that it provides in terms of not making assumptions and not attacking other people and not making other people wrong is really helpful.
I would, however, agree experientially that LSD does not help my ADHD. It might help trigger a hyperfocus, or it might do the opposite. Granted, it's been 30 years since I've taken LSD, and maybe I should revisit that and revisit it in a microdose capacity. But in my memory, it's a little chaotic.
Yeah, if you haven't tried it, actual microdosing. I mean, I hate to say it, but micrograms matter. Each microgram of LSD has, let's say it together, 1.54 quadrillion molecules of LSD in it. Having 15 or 20 as opposed to topping out at something like 12 or maybe less for most people, not to mention all the Reddit studies where the Reddit reports where people are taking an order of magnitude less. They're taking 1 microgram or even less and still having effects. I think that, this notion that more is always better is so deeply ingrained in our capitalistic and scientific architecture that it's hard for people to think otherwise.
Sorry, I'm just reading this article. Results: 2 of the 4 participants dropped out due to COVID restrictions, and 1 participant because of non-adherence to the protocol. 3 participants were excluded, all from analysis because of missing data. So, really, there's no validity to,
How many participants were there in total?
I think there were 8. It was very, very small.
Jeez, and yet that headline will get all the publicity.
Right, and so people like Robert Kennedy will take that headline and move forward with that. I hate to make that blanket judgment, but I've known this person to move forward with information that's incomplete and clickbaity. And we have a massive endemic in our society right now where people just read headlines, and people read headlines from unvetted sources. They quote data that they don't actually know the source to. We can do better. And soapbox.
Oh, your soapbox is good. Glad to have you here on the soapbox.
Well, I'm gonna go take some mushrooms.
Well, good.
Where did I put that? What's everybody else doing today?
I'm going to continue to get over my first head cold in over a year. I'm just always sort of shocked by how psychedelic my dreams are when I stop smoking pot, and just how awful, being sick makes you feel. I mean, we all know this. Nobody likes being sick, but I'm just always astonished by what not feeling well does to my mind as well as my body. That's kind of silly to even separate mind and body, of course. But
no, it's exhausting though, man. Depleted resources don't lead to solid decision making.
Yeah, I was telling my partner Linda that, you know, I was feeling like my whole career has been a waste and I'm a complete and utter failure. And she's like, you really can't be thinking about stuff like that when you're sick.
Yeah, there should be a window of like no decisions can be made during this time period. This work. Sorry to hear you're sick. Glad you're getting better.
Yeah, the only thing that seems to really work is sleeping a fuckload and not doing much. And normally I'm so physically active and I have all of these practices and I just kind of had to let them all go. I think I did about a minute on the rebounder each of the last few days and maybe went on the vibrating plate for a minute. And that was more than enough. And I also found it really interesting that I use a Whoop to measure my activity, and they call it strain and how much effort you put into a whole day. And so on these days when I'm sick, even though I feel like all I've done is walk around the block a couple of times and stretched a little bit, I'm still at like high levels of total output and strain. That is when you're sick, doing things that aren't really stressful at all, use a lot of resources and take a lot out of you. All of which everybody knows. I just haven't been sick for over a year, so I'm just like, this is why we hate being sick so much.
That's an interesting concept to apply to the logic in that article. Is something that I've never really, I've kind of like, I think it's touched my brain, but I haven't really like articulated as baseline. So when we're talking about set and setting, part of the set is how we are physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so say we're sick and we're depleted and we take a psychedelic, we're going to have a very different experience than if we're healthy, fully recharged, all of our, we've done all our exercise and our serotonin's working properly. So it makes it really variable. The experience can be extremely variable based on like your starting point or your baseline. And like just thinking about how we can calculate that and incorporate that into like, I don't want to say like prescriptions, but protocol recommendations based on this week's data set or whatever. And how can we include that in studies when we're analyzing efficacy?
Well, that would be to make an admission that the mind and the body are one thing and completely directly influence each other all the time, and that is still not really accepted in Western psychology. There's this thing called the biopsychosocial brain, and to really look at health globally, we would have to include everything, including not just people's biological situation, but their psychological situation and their social situation. So in the world of medicine, Daniel could speak to this more, the psycho part is now being recognized slowly but surely, but the social situation is still not really generally recognized. And, for example, everyone that I know who shares politics even roughly with me right now is sick to their stomach all of their time because of what's going on politically. I mean, this is enormously stressful on us all collectively, and we need to recognize that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am not okay, and I continue to utilize my practice of medicine in whatever way I engage with that. But like at the beginning, I'm not okay, which kind of is against my better advice, is to not engage in psychedelic practice when you're not okay. But I'm like, okay enough, I guess. And maybe I convince myself I am. But yeah, I mean, what are we doing? We're in crisis. What, like, how should we?
Power is huge.
Rebel Elder John Cannon, do you want to throw your